first statement I want to show us is that our worship is an outward expression of an inward reality. So when we're worshiping, that our outward expressions should be bubbling up from what's going on within us. And this is really what we've been talking about all series long, right? That like our worship doesn't start at 10 o'clock on Sunday mornings. Our worship is a continuum in which our hearts are attached and our affection is pointed at Jesus. And so it's an overflow, and outward expressions are an overflow of our inward reality. We express outwardly what's going on inwardly very naturally, and that's just how God created us. And so these postures that are around us every day, David says those things we should use because God created us to worship him. And again, he did that. And he wanted us to enjoy pleasing God through our heart and through our body. We've been going pretty heavy during the series on some pretty heavy stuff, and this was a little bit of a lighter week, but this was just kind of, I feel like, kind of the nuts and bolts of worship, because sometimes we use that word worship and we're not sure, and then we see other people raising their hands, and you're like, if you're like new to church and you see somebody else raising their hand, like, that's weird. Or why would they be doing that? Or we clap, and then people are like, why are we clapping? Or you hear shouts of praise, and you're like, what's wrong with that person? Something going on back there. And what I want to say is that these expressions that we do, they're for the glory and the fame of Jesus. And they're what's going on the inside, coming out on the outside. And it's okay to do those things. And these things extend not just to our time together here, but to our personal worship throughout the week. Friends, there's a reason why, like back in the day, there used to be like, what do? We get on our knees to pray, right? Remember that? Like you even see in the old movies, before bed, they get down on their knees, right, and pray, right? That getting down on our knees in a posture of prayer is completely acceptable and sometimes needed. To lift our hands, Paul says that there's moments where we should just lift our hands in prayer when we pray, in a posture of surrender. There's times where the overflow of joy should lead to just dancing, to expressing that. I think I shared with you guys a couple weeks ago in that worship or reverence and awe, like when we were at Glacier, and Beth and I were sitting on top of the mountain that we climbed, looking over this beautiful creation the most natural posture of worship that took place right there was just sitting in silence and marveling at God and his power. We didn't say a word. We didn't dance. We didn't clap. We didn't shout. But that was the moment where we're just in awe and reverence. Sometimes talking to God is what's needed in prayer time, and sometimes shutting up and listening to God is what's needed in prayer time. Worship is dynamic, but here's the thing. God gets to dictate what happens in the way he's worshiped. And it's our job to pay attention to what's going on the inside and respond appropriately on the outside, what God's doing on the inside. Does that make sense? That takes paying attention to what God's doing. So I want to challenge you as we spend a couple more moments singing together, as you go out amongst your week and you worship throughout the week, because we've learned that worship is more than just a song. I want to challenge you to pay attention to what God's moving on the inside of you and respond appropriately on the outside. Challenge you to seek the Lord in expression. Ask him what he would have you do in times of worship. And then obey. And then do it. Obey. Even if it's something that's like, I haven't done that before. Just obey. Try it. Because we're not seeking to impress anybody. We're seeking to respond to God.